All right, we are back here. NFL picks, showing the money for week 8 of the NFL season. Join me today to break down the picks this week and probably the biggest game on the board. Joe Dowley is back with us. Joe, welcome. How are you?
Mike, always a pleasure to be on the pod. So thank you again for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on here. I gotta say, definitely a wild season so far. Because I was reading about some stuff earlier today. It feels like this is the first year in a while where I don't have a clue who I would say the best team in the league is right now after 8 weeks.
It's funny because I think back after our week one podcast that we did,
Yeah.
like everything that we talked about, you could almost throw it all out the window at that
Yep.
point.
Yep.
Like everything that we've said, I'm pretty sure I was confident, like everybody else, with the overreaction that, wow, can the Jets be competitive this year? Well, they certainly are not.
Nope.
And sticking to the New York side, you look at the New York Giants, and it was, are they going to play Jackson Dart? Should they not play Jackson Dart? Well, here he is, and he's ignited so much fire into this team between him and Cam Scadaboo. So those are just two of the many examples where we thought one thing and we fast forward into almost November, Mike,
Yeah.
and things have changed.
They have changed here, and one consistent for the most part is that the Packers have been winning for the most part this season. They do have the games, the Cardinals over the weekend here with dicey early. They do pull the way away. What was your takeaway from what we saw against Arizona Sunday?
I'm going to, and people that are listening are going to probably want to turn off or either smack me in the face because of how entitled or spoiled I may sound, right? But the one common theme that I'm finding with Green Bay, and this has been a common theme now for quite a while, they don't put teams away.
Yeah,
They rarely dominate against opponents that they should dominate. I mean, let's be serious. Um, the Arizona Cardinals, led by Jacoby Brissett, there should have been no struggle there. You go back to before the bye, or right after. Excuse me. You go back to the Cleveland game. Joe Flacco and the Browns struggle. You go back to week one where they dominated the Lions, but they let the Lions creep back in. Week two against Washington, let Washington creep back in. And this team has continued to struggle to really put teams away. And again, wins are wins, and you hear Micah Parsons talk about it that it's hard to win in the NFL, and you hear other athletes constantly saying it's hard to win games, but this type of winning will only get you so far. This type of winning is not going to get you through in the postseason. I just don't see it happening.
yeah, I don't either here with that situation, and I do think one thing I've noticed with the Packers here. I mean, obviously, week 1 and 2 they look like probably the best team at football and had a great chance with the Super Bowl, but since then, something's been off, and I think you may have said closing is an issue. I wonder if it's that or if it's a matter of, oh, are we, playing down to our competition a little bit? They haven't really played many great teams since then. Do you feel like there's what the issue is with the Packers?
I mean, it's tough to judge, but I'm going to go with it's a combination. I'm going to go with because this is something that since Matt LaFleur has been the head coach, that they've struggled with is just being able to put teams away. When things are working, they work, and then all of a sudden it falls apart, or it's a really, really great first half, and then no adjustments are made in the second half. They get hit in the mouth, and it becomes a closer game than it should have been. I think it's a combination. I still think it's on the offensive side of things. It's a young group that still have not reached their potential. It's a young group that is still trying to figure out what to do. I mean, you look at the receiving core. Matthew Golden has been great as a rookie, but we haven't seen that much of Matthew Golden, right? Dobbs has been probably the most consistent, but then you have a week where Tucker Kraft is doing his thing. Christian Watson is getting ready to come back, and maybe he could play an impact. So the only real consistent on that offense has been the play of Josh Jacobs. You got to give him his flowers there. And I don't think Jordan Love has been playing terrible at all. I just think they haven't been able to close out games and they're keeping teams around. And it could be a combination of the coaching, it could be a combination of playing down to their opponents. But ultimately, though, I think there are concerns on the defensive side.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense here. And obviously, the headline of the week here is the Sunday night game. Packers going to Pittsburgh, get the first matchup with Aaron Rodgers since he left a couple of years ago. All they're going to make more theatrical goals to the at Lambeau Field here, but a lot of intrigue in this game. What are you watching for on Sunday?
Yeah, well, of course, ever since Rodgers left Green Bay, I've made sure to keep a close eye on how Rodgers is playing, and I think he's in a perfect situation in Pittsburgh with a great staff and a great overall team. Here's a perfect opportunity, and the competitor that is Aaron Rodgers, right? So, I fully anticipate seeing him have one of those, magnificent nights against his former team. Uh, it'll be interesting to see how the defense shows up, right? On the Green Bay side of things, I'm sure Matt LaFleur and the defensive coordinator are going to want to dial things up and make Rodgers feel as uncomfortable as possible. So I hope to see a lot of pressure because the reality is if we're not getting to the quarterback and the opposing quarterback has time to throw, there are a lot of openings and opportunities because, quite frankly, going into the year and still post Micah Parsons trade, the secondary has been a concern and it is showing and has shown all season long.
Absolutely has. Here's a fun game just for sure. See what happens here. Let's go to the picks, which is the reason why you're here this week. My buddy Phil Frey had to stop by last week. He went perfect 3-0 last week. He laid,
Wow.
yeah, he laid the big one with the Chiefs, laid the 12 and a half to 131 nothing. He went against the Jets, laid the 1.5 with the Panthers. They won that game. And then yeah, the Eagles laying the 1.5 against the Vikings. They won the game 28-22. Excuse me, 3-0 for Joe. Yeah.
That's a great one. That's a great week for Phil.
Yeah, I went 2-1. I had the Commanders laying the point having in Dallas. I picked this in, locked in before. They basically rule out every receiver on or the Suns. That one I probably would have taken back if I had known the information. Browns -2.5. That was a lock once I saw how bad Miami was playing. Seahawks -3.5. Texans, I think, are underachieving by far. I think an underrated underachiever because there's so many other disasters going on here. But 2-1 for me last week.
Not bad. And I see you are 11-10 over 500.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, you've brought me on to the pod, so you'll probably go 0-3. I'll go 3-0. You'll be under 500. That's what happens, Mike.
Yeah, we'll see how that happens here. So, as the guest, you can go first. So, where are you going here with pick number one?
Yeah, pick number one, I am going to take the Eagles -7.5 against the Giants. I think last week the Giants had a tremendous opportunity against the Denver Broncos where they should have won, they should have took care of business, and they didn't. And I think here's an opportunity for the Eagles who have bounced back. There's no way the Eagles are losing to the Giants twice.
Yeah.
I think here's an opportunity for the Eagles to really give it to the New York Giants and take care of business relatively easily, kind of burying the New York Giants after last week's heartbreaking loss.
Yeah, I think that makes some sense here. Plus, like that loss is the kind of game that, like, especially a young team, that carries over for into the next week. I feel like, and Philly coming in here knowing that they got lost with the passing game last week. I think this is the week they're trying to get Saquon on track here. I think this is a spot where I love Philly to get revenge here. The number, I don't love the 7.5. I think they can do it.
Yeah, I don't love the number either, but it's a combination of okay, like everyone, let's pump the brakes. Philly is okay; they're going to be there at the end of the year. The Giants are exciting now, but I just don't see a universe just yet where the Giants take two games against Philly. More importantly, okay, how do you bounce back after such a crushing loss against the Broncos? I think Philly rolls.
All right, let's pick one. We're going to pick two.
Pick two, I'm going with the Bears. I know, shocking. The Bears +6.5 against the Ravens. I know this line has moved. This line hasn't moved a bit, but it's kind of something to watch for and to look for because of the potential return of Lamar Jackson. But even with Lamar Jackson back, it looks like the Ravens' year is done already. Right. So like in my mind, it's if he is not ready and 100% ready, there is no reason to throw him out there. That's how poorly the Ravens have played without him. Um, and the Bears have been able to get some good play out of Caleb Williams and overall as a team surprising me truthfully and probably others. So I think they could keep this competitive in the event that Jackson doesn't play at all. I think it's a home run pick. If he does play, hey, I still think there's a chance that they could keep it close only because of how horrible the Ravens have looked all year.
Yeah, it's a good spot to lock this number in because you look at this situation. I was here, Lamar, you don't know if he's going to be able to play the full game with a hamstring. And the Ravens defense has been straight trash for most of the season. They're giving up like 30 points a game here. And the Bears have won 4 in a row. They're not getting enough respect in this spot either.
No, they're definitely not are they that true, 4 in a row like winning team? Like probably not yet, but you're definitely seeing a lot of improvements from this Bears team that, a few years ago and years past you weren't seeing.
All right, so we're going with pick three.
Pick three, anybody that plays the Jets. All right, I'm taking the Bengals -6.5. I mean, the Jets are a complete dumpster fire. I can't believe how much of a disgrace the New York Jets are. I mean, it took the basketball season's back. The Knicks have more wins than the New York Jets.
Yep.
I like the way that the Bengals have kind of resurfaced and have been re-energized by the veteran in the room in Joe Flacco. I really like that. They're playing good football. The offense is humming right now. For the New York Jets, it doesn't matter if it's Justin Fields, if it's Tyrod Taylor, if it's a combination of me and you. The offense is abysmal. That team is nowhere near what that team looked like week one. And I just see the woes continuing for the New York Jets here.
You mean you're not scared by the fact that they won't tell the Bengals who their quarterback is yet?
No, no, that's the least terrifying thing that you've said today, honestly. I mean, I still can't wrap my head around how bad this Jets team is. I really can't.
Yeah, there's a lot of dysfunction there. Talk about the owner of the top of the pod, the stupid things he said on Tuesday. So it all stems from there.
No, it all starts at the top.
Yep.
It all starts at the top, Mike. So yeah, I like the Eagles at -7.5 against the Giants. I like the Bears +6.5 against the Ravens, and the Bengals -6.5 against the Jets.
All right, so your picks are on the board now. Pick one. This is gonna be a theme this week. We're going big numbers this week, big spread. So I'm going with Atlanta laying 7.5 at home against the Dolphins here. And as bad as the Jets have been, they actually do not have a worse point differential than the Dolphins, who have been outscored by 65 points season. I have a win on the board, which tells you how bad they've been. That's one issue. And then they have the quarterback controversy. Tua gets benched last week. We don't know if he's going to keep playing because they might get Quinn Ewers look at some point. Somehow McDaniel still has a job. I don't understand what the owner's thinking down there, but that team has quit. They are going into a spot where Atlanta's coming off a loss, and they're going to look to bounce back here. I love the Falcons. It's about to run away and hide. So give me Atlanta, pick one.
This was one of them that I was contemplating, and the number kind of spooked me a little bit just because, like, as horrible as Miami has been, there is a part of me that still thinks there is so much talent and skill set on that offense that if they could just figure it out, that they could not turn things around, but 7.5 is still 7.5. You know what I mean? So like in the event, and I think Tua is hot trash. I don't know whoever plays quarterback there, but again, they at least have, between Devon A-Chain, Jalen Waddle, like they have options there.
Yeah.
But 7.5 is 7.5. And I did think about it because they are very close to the same category as the New York Jets right now.
All right, that's pick one. Pick two. I'm going to probably the biggest number on the boards. I'm laying the 14.5 with the Colts against the Titans here. And the Titans' one win this year was an absolute gift because Arizona could not get out of his own way. The coach gets fired next week. Cam Ward is getting beaten to a pulp every week here. They have no clue what they're doing offensively. And the Colts, everybody discounts them. They're 6-1. Their point differential this year is +92, which tells you that they're not just squeaking by games. They are blowing people out, and they have opportunities here. I think the spot where the Colts are going to just go in here and impose their will. Jonathan Taylor's going to run for a buck 50, and they're going to run and hide very early in this game. So I'll lay the big low with the Colts here.
I think you'll agree with this. The Colts are definitely the most surprising team in the NFL this year.
Oh, 100%.
I don't even think it's close. What they've been able to get out of Daniel Jones is like it's unbelievable. It really is like, wait a second. Who's their quarterback? Makes you think. Like we just watched him play and play at such a terrible level here in New York, and then boom, system change, new place to play, everything, and it clicked. So that, and on the flip side, the Titans. It's funny because I feel like there's a lot of like really, really bad teams this year.
Yep, there's a lot.
There's a lot more than ever. Like we just rattled off three really bad teams: Jets, Dolphins, Titans. Those are really bad teams right now.
Yep, there are. So that's pick two. Pick three. Coming off the bye, I'm going to take the Bills laying the 7.5 against Carolina on the road here. Bryce Young out for this game with the ankle injury. Andy Dalton under center. Since Josh Allen's been on the starter for the Bills, they have not lost coming out of a bye week, which is a sign of the great coaching from Sean McDermott and company there. And I think Carolina is a little bit of a paper tiger here where their last couple wins, they beat the bad Cowboy defense by a field goal. They couldn't barely move the football against the Jets last week. And reports that the Jets couldn't throw out a paper bag to win a game. I think here, Buffalo, coming off the bye, coming off the disastrous loss to Atlanta before the bye, 2 weeks of doing that. This is not where I think they just like put up a huge number and just say, hey, remind everybody how good they are. So I'll lay the 7.5 with the Bills.
Yeah, I think that's a great pick too. Here are two teams that are going in opposite directions. You're seeing improvement from Carolina, but for the Buffalo Bills, you hope that they could continue to show who they truly are and their dominance within the AFC. If they struggle this game coming off the bye, though, I do have my concerns with the Bills.
Yeah, this is spot historically they've done very well, so I will ride them here. So to reset the picks of the week, Joe has gone with the Bears getting 6.5 in Baltimore against the Ravens. The Bengals laying 6.5 against the magical mystery tours in the New York Jets. And the Eagles laying 7.5 against the Giants to even up the season series. My picks, all big numbers. The Colts laying 14.5 against the Titans. The Falcons laying 7.5 at home against Miami. And Buffalo laying 7.5 on the road in Carolina. Those are your picks for week 8 on the podcast here. And coming up next week, I'm going to be joined by my friend Dan DiMartini, a big Colts guy. So a good time to talk some Colts here, as they've been one of the surprises in the league, as we just talked about.
Mike, what happened? No dogs this week for you?
No, the big favorites jumped out at me. I feel like this is a big favorite week.
Okay, I respect that. Hey, can I give you something before I go?
Sure.
The Packers points that they've scored in their first 4 wins.
Yeah.
Okay? Week 1, 27. Week 2, 27. Week 6, 27. Week 7, 27.
So 27 is the magic number.
Hold on. It gets even creepier.
Yeah.
Can you guess the age of Brett Favre's first Super Bowl?
He was 27.
Can you guess the age of Aaron Rodgers' first Super Bowl?
I'm guessing also 27.
How old is Jordan Love turning?
27.
That's all I got for you, Mike.
The 27 theory.
Let's hope.
All right, so we'll see what happens there, Joe. Thanks for all the time. Really appreciate it. People follow you on social media. I'm going to do that.
Yeah, give me a shout on Twitter at Joe _DALOISIO.